Introducing myself, I am Dr. Uchala Singh from Khidirpur College, Assistant Professor in Department of Education. And a special thanks to Dinesh Sakya sir, who has invited me as a resource person. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, Honorable Vice Chancellor sir, and the faculty members and the students. I hope today's lecture will be beneficial for you all, and thank you so much. तो सर मुझे थोड़ा सा कंफर्मेशन चाहिए कि इंग्लिश में रहेगा कि लेक्चर हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश दोनों मिक्स्ड या फिर हिंदी. ओके ठीक है. सो कैन आई शेयर माय स्लाइड्स? ओके, थैंक यू सो मच. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, as for today's topic, I'm going to deliver my lecture on learning outcome based curriculum framework. So, in this lecture, I will be sharing some concept of learning outcomes and how curriculum framework we can develop on the basis of this learning outcomes. So first, as we are all in the field of education, so my presentation will be started by giving the definition of education. So first of all, अगर हम एजुकेशन को डिफाइन करें, so education can be considered as a process of imparting and gaining knowledge, developing the powers of reasoning, developing the logical capacity and rational thinking, decision making, and taking the capacity of judgmental. And generally, we are preparing individuals who are uh, intellectual human persons, and for developing a mature life. So basically it can be considered as process where we can develop individual, where we can develop some mature intellectual persons. So in human life, as well as in, we can say, in our life, it has a very important role, not only in our life, as we in if we see in the field of nation building, education has also a great emphasis. And for developing a good nation building, education is the most important weapon, we can say. So if we are giving education, so education should be given in this way so that we can develop good human beings. And as the youth of our individuals will develop the nation, so we have to nurture themselves with good quality education. So if we see the present scenario or present education system, which is turning out our youth who have to compete locally, nationally, as well as in globally. So through this education, we have to develop such kind of intellectual individuals or intellectual youth who can compete themselves, maybe in locally or nationally or the globally. And for developing this kind of youth people, we need to give them a good quality education. So for giving good quality education, for every individual we have to know something, or we have to learn everything. And if we see the definition of learning, it can also be a considered as a process of acquiring new knowledge or new concept, or modifying the existing knowledge or modifying the existing concept for developing our behavior or we can say for developing the positive behaviors and inculcate some skills which we can uh, develop as a good human being, or do some better things by using our skills and developing ourselves with good abilities, so that we can develop a human being who will have some values within themselves, and they will could uh, perform in every aspect of human life. As I said in the previous slides, that we have to inculcate some good quality education, or we have to give quality education, so that we can develop a good human being or good individual or good student, so that we can develop a good nation. So values are also very important for developing or inculcating within themselves, so that we can develop good human beings, and as well as we can develop or we can build our good nation. So when we are thinking about this learning things, learning can are immediate, or it may be some time taking as well. Sometimes we can see that we can learn the things very easily. Just in the slide I have given one example, that if we touch any burnt candle, we learn that thing very easily, that जला हुआ जो भी कोई जल रहा है तो उसको हमें हाथ नहीं लगाना है, तो दैट लर्निंग, तो इन फ्यूचर में भी कभी अगर वो सिचुएशन आए कि हमारे पास कोई भी बर्निंग थिंग है, वी विल नेवर गोइंग टू टच दैट. So this kind of learning is our immediate learning. And for giving this लर्निंग, और अगर हम इमीडिएट लर्निंग के बाद को भी छोड़ दें कि अगर हमें कुछ नया कॉन्सेप्ट भी लर्न करना है, या फिर वी आर लर्निंग समथिंग न्यू, एंड या फिर वी आर हैविंग सम एग्जिस्टिंग नॉलेज, सो एंड वी आर having to add some new knowledge in that existing knowledge. So in this gaining knowledge, teaching plays a very important role. So good, अगर हम किसी को गुड टीचिंग प्रोवाइड करते हैं, तो वी डेफिनेटली can be very confirmed that we will have to we will give good learning to the students. So few as being a teacher, we have to give a good teaching, so that we can give we can develop all students in a very good way. So good teaching का कुछ qualities है, say कि especially in the classroom, a good teacher should be those kind of teachers who can engage the students, and so that in the teaching processes the students can attentive in the, and they should be participating in the teachers teaching. Then if a teacher is only teaching not by his passion, so that teaching, that in that teaching learning process the involvement of teacher will not be that much qualityful. Or if teaching can be taken as a passionate for the teachers, then we can say that the learning and the teaching process, that will be very charming, or that can be very effective for this teaching learning process, and that learning will be very good for the learners. And where if we include our passionate in the teaching, then emotional responses of the students will be very good. We can get that the students will be respond, they will be engaged in our teaching, they will be very attentive whatever we are saying, and their participation we can also be seen in that teaching learning processes. So if we want to give them good, if we want to develop good teaching qualities within ourselves, so we have to learn some skills, that uh, how we will engage the students, how we will develop the students thinking capacity, or how we will develop their critical evaluation thinking and construct, and develop their constructive mindset, and how we will develop their problem solving skills. If we are able to develop this kind of qualities within and within the students, and for these purposes we need to incorporate our thinking in this skills in the teaching learning processes. And we have to apply various variety of settings in this teaching learning processes, so that we can inculcate these kind of qualities. and then only we can consider can no they it it is a good teaching. Another thing, it always impacts upon students value. If a teacher is teaching in a good way or developing lots of values, and the students are enjoying that teacher learning processes, so the students can be very creative, and their values can be developed very easily. So another quality of teaching should be developing the values, commitments, creative ideas, and identities. So these teaching qualities were given by as per Suleiman. Now, teaching, when we are talking about teaching, so while teaching in the classroom, we always know that we have to develop some pre-planned lessons, or we can say we have to develop our lesson plans before entering into the classrooms. And for preparing these classrooms, we have to develop some objectives or learning objectives. And on the basis of Bloom's taxonomy, we have to develop this teaching objectives or the learning objectives. So as we know that Bloom's taxonomy, in the past time when it was developed, it was having certain levels, that is knowledge, comprehensive, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. In the past scenario, when we see that these kinds of levels were using in the teaching learning processes, but when the time changes, or in the 21st century, these kinds of objectives or this kind of levels, if we use in our teaching learning processes, then that will not be that much fruitful for the current scenario or the 21st century. So that's why another Bloom's taxonomy, that is called the revised Bloom's taxonomy, appeared. And now the where the changes happen only in the formation of the action verbs is changes. That is, in the previous terms, when we were using Bloom's taxonomy in the noun form, now it is used in the verb form. So now this only things are changed, that now we are focusing on the development of such kind of students who will have the creative skills or skill enhancement process, or the we are developing for inculcating such kind of skills which are helpful for developing themselves as a good learner, or as a good human being, or as a good individual who are having lots of skills, not only in a particular skill but multiple skills, and having some um, skills of problem solving. That means those kind of skills which they can use for solving their real life situations or real life problems, or whatever the problems comes into their mind, they can solve those kinds of problems. And the education or the teaching learning processes will go in such a way so that students can lead a better life and compete themselves in the current situation in the 21st century. And if we see in the education system, the now higher education is having a great role in developing such kind of skilled individuals. So in higher education, as in the higher education, the main aim of higher education is to develop good, well rounded and creative individuals. So creativity should be developed in every individuals, because whatever the content they are learning nowadays, we are focusing on developing the creative mind among the students. Because in the previous years, when the teaching learning process was based on teacher centric, or the what the teacher uh, thinks that the students have to learn this things, and this kind of knowledge should be incorporated within the within the child. So they were not focusing on the students need and students um, engagement and all that. So by changing the time, now we are focusing on the learner centered education system, and by focusing into this thing we are trying to develop such kind of students who will be who will be very creative, because in the current scenario where the and providing education is not only important, but also after getting the education or after gaining this, after doing that particular program, we have to do some work, or we'll have to enter into those particular area where we have to show our skills. And now now today's era is very competitive era, as we as I said in the first slide, that we have to give education to the students, not only for the development of the particular students in, we have to give education so that the student can survive locally, globally, as well as internationally. So every individual have to develop their creative skills, creative mind, and enable students, individuals to study more or in deeper level. Because now in the current scenario, when we see the current scenario is we are in the 21st century, and we can say that we are in the ICT era, or students have to learn lots of things, because a particular skill में अगर सिर्फ वो पढ़ता रहे, तो या फिर पर्टिकुलर चीज़ को ही उसके ऊपर नॉलेज रहे, सो वो कहीं न कहीं अपने आप को सोचेगा ये मुझे पता तो है ही नहीं। सो ऑलवेज़ इंडिविजुअल्स को आइदर one or more areas में they have to gain their knowledge, they have to develop their skills. So not only knowledge, but also have to deeper knowledge, because if we don't have deeper knowledge into any particular area, then there will be very difficult for our survive, because this is the very competitiveness is coming within every individual, or we can say in everywhere, not only in study purpose or educational purpose, but also in career purpose, and everywhere we are having a high competition. Another aim of higher education is to, we have to build ethical and more, and inculcate moral qualities with the values and intellectual curiosity. Because in higher education, in higher education, when the students are uh, in higher education, they have to um, do good in their life, and that should be a good life, or there should be such kind of mindset can be developed, which will be helpful for the nation as well. So ethical and moral qualities must be developed, and in higher education sorry, in higher education, ethical and moral qualities can be developed by giving proper education, and so that values can also be developed, and intellectual curiosity is may also be developed. Because if the curiosity if the curiosity is not developed, then they will not be curious to learn the other things. Because in the scenario when we have to know wider knowledge, and the um, time is going very fast, so we have to know lots of things in a particular time, and if we don't have the curiosity, then everything will be curious to us, and that will be stopped there only, and the knowledge will not come into me. So another thing we have to focus in higher education, and we are doing this thing, spirit of service, and the capacities across discipline include science, social science, arts, humanities, and all that. So whatever the subject we are in the field, like maybe a week, maybe in science or social science, arts or humanities, but we have to develop our capacities across whatever the disciplines we are. And another thing, in higher education we have to be very socially conscious, knowledgeable, skilled nation that can uplift the pupil and construct implement solution of its own problem. As I said earlier, that through education we are giving such kind of education which through which the students can solve their own problems, and whatever the situations are coming into their life, they can be solved by using their own um, previous knowledge or their experiences or whatever. So higher education have a great emphasis in developing a good human being or intellectual human being or intellectual curious human being, so that we can give something to the nation, and that will definitely helping us in developing a better nation. So if we see the higher education is how this higher education is changed nowadays. Higher education has is facing lots of challenges, and some changes we are also nowadays currently we are seeing. So what are the transformational changes we are seeing in higher education? Um because in higher education we need well educated skilled people, and if we educate our youth, because in higher education our youth are mostly in this higher education, and if we educate this youth of the nation, we can meet the changes, and then and we can achieve the need of the global economy. Because here is the prime time, we can say that if we give good knowledge in the higher education, then definitely whatever the changes or whatever the challenges we are coming into the education system or into the globe, so we can develop such kind of youth who can serve for the nation, who can learn better for the nation, and by doing their efforts we can meet whatever the we can solve the problems, and we can meet our ultimate aims and the objectives. So as another thing, that growth of performance, prosperity and competitiveness is also we can um, see in the higher education system. Because if in the higher education performance will be better, if we do good in the higher education, or if we develop good intellectual person in higher education, then definitely they have um, they have a good human being, good quality, good prosperity and good and healthy competitiveness, we can say. So here there is a need to bring changes in higher education, so to ensure the relevance knowledge, identify skill gaps, and launch special programs for skill development. So there is a need of changing. There is a need for some transformers in the higher education system, because in traditionally way there was something lacking in respect to the current situation. So some changes we need, and due to that need, NEP 2020 has come up, and to fulfill that gap, that in the traditional way, whatever the gaps we're finding in the higher education system, now 2020, now NEP 2020 has a great emphasis in fulfilling that gap. So how that gap is fulfilling by NEP 2020, we already have seen that it is saying for the um, holistic development, multidisciplinary approach, and that ensuring the students for multiple entry and exit, so that they can choose their choose their particular uh, that means the learner centered approach is mostly appreciating. So for the appreciating this learner centered um, approaches, and for as we know that UGC is doing lots of things for the quality enhancement of higher education system. So some mandate are there given by UGC, because UGC is the autonomous body which is working for the develop quality enhancement of higher education system. So Here the UGC some has given some quality mandate. So what are those? That globalization nowadays, we can see the globalization is redefining the role of the nation in terms of global market agreements and values and traditions. So there is a need to analyze this context with respect to higher education and in India, which is steady expecting with the uh, large network of institution. If we see the institutions of higher education, there is a large network of higher education institutions, and as a response to this, we the educators need to rethink for in which way we will teach, l- what will be the teaching and learning ought to be happen in this, in the era of knowledge economy. Because if we do good in teacher learning processes, then only we can give a good quality education, and then only the higher education quality will be enhanced, and we can produce good students. So there is a need to think, or we can say rethink of ways of teaching learning processes. Another thing, if we are doing this teaching learning process and we are thinking to do better in the teaching learning processes, so another thing that is very important, we have to work on our curriculum, or we can say we have to look, or we have to focus in the curriculum, because curriculum should be like that, which will be focusing on critical thinking and problem solving. So whatever the things we are doing in educational field or educational area, curriculum is having a great role in giving education, or developing the thinking or the problem solving skills, whatever we are uh, trying to do. So we have to develop such kind of curriculum. So conscious effort we have to develop, not only in cognitive development but also non-cognitive problem skills among the learner. So I'll be a part of curriculum, because only cognitive knowledge giving is not the purpose of curriculum, and there will be uh, s- mm, some lacking areas by only giving cognitive knowledge, or cognitive aspect. If we work on this cognitive aspect, or if the curriculum focus on the cognitive aspect, so there is also a need for developing such kind of curriculum where the critical thing, where there will be cognitive as well as non-cognitive aspects. And for that also, we have to use Bloom's taxonomy in designing curriculum, because when we are developing this curriculum, or when we are designing our curriculum, so Bloom's taxonomy is playing a great role. In the earlier slide where I have shown that Bloom's taxonomy in the past, and the um, revision Bloom's taxonomy, where some changes are happened mostly. Um, so in the developing curriculum also, we have to look into the Bloom's taxonomy, and especially in the revised Bloom's taxonomy as it is developed as per the current situation. So if we focus on this revised Bloom's taxonomy, and by keeping this into our mind, it will be very easy for achieving this quality education. So another thing that is uh, in UGC and NEP 2020 also focusing on the multidisciplinary and holistic education across discipline, because um, nowadays only going into a particular disciplinary, and if we don't focus on if we are not focusing on the holistic development of the students, so there may be one result that is our students are lacking behind, and in the competitiveness era they are somewhere, they will be missing, and they will not survive themselves, we can say. So there will be very difficult situation for them. So UGC has asked to all the universities in the country to implement a multidisciplinary and holistic education across disciplines. For multidisciplinary world, in all the universities and and whatever the colleges are there in our country, or we can say the affiliated colleges, which improve not only the level of academic excellence but also improve the academic as well as research environment. So for these things, not only academic but also research environment, because if we um, develop the research environment into the institutions, whatever the institutions may be, maybe university or an affiliated college. So research environment if you develop, then definitely a critical thinking skill, or the skill for doing proper observation, proper development of hypothesis, proper development of problem solving, or the nature of seeking knowledge that can be improved, generated, or that can be inculcated within the student. So no, providing knowledge and doing good only the examination are not our motto. For developing the quality, we have to enhance in both the areas, maybe in academic as well as in environment research. So cognitive as well as non-cognitive areas, we have to be focused so that we can develop good students, and we can give quality education into the students. So if we see the curriculum framework, and that framework should be like that, which can empower the students and that can help in achieving these objectives. So now we are seeing that for curriculum framework, some changes are done in the higher education. So we are seeing that 4-year multidisciplinary undergraduate program is now fundamental transformation of the current undergraduate education now, and all the universities already have adopted this NEP 2020 for developing a quality education, or for giving quality enhance quality into the students. And for developing this quality among the students, we have and we have to develop such kind of curriculum which will help us for developing those kind of students. And for developing those kind of curriculum, we have to be proper we have to develop properly planned curriculum. And in this learning out, whatever the programs we will run in the colleges or universities, so there should be some productive or good outcome of after completion of the program. So if we are in the education system and the students are learning, or students are enrolled in a particular program, so there should be some learning outcomes. So what is learning outcomes, we have to know very uh, clearly. So learning outcomes are the statements that specify what a learner will know or be able to do as a result of learning activity. That means we are enrolling our students, and after completion of this program, what they will learn, and as a and what will be the outcome for pursuing after this course. So that thing should be very clear to every learner as well as the teacher, so that teacher can plan accordingly, and the students will definitely know what will happen after completion of what I will do, or what kind of skills I will learn after completion of my program. So another way we can say learning outcomes are the statement that outline what the student should know or be able to achieve after participating in a course or a program or a educational activity. So whenever we are going to develop these learning outcomes, they should be very precise. The learning outcome should be quantitative and observable. That ऐसा नहीं हो कि लर्निंग आउटकम्स मैंने तो बना दिया बट इस मेरे स्टूडेंट्स को पता ही नहीं है कि वो लोग क्यों कर रहे हैं, या फिर उनको अगर नहीं पता रहेगा तो फिर अगर हम पूछेंगे कि what you are going to do in your future, that will be not that much clear for that students. So whatever the learning outcomes we will be decided, that should be precise, that should be quantitative and observable, and they specify the desired outcomes and competencies that the students are expected to exhibit. So whatever the learning outcomes we are developing, that should be desired outcomes होना चाहिए and competencies of the students, whatever they have expected to exhibit. So some, what should be the qualities of learning outcomes? They should be active. That means it describe what students can do. If it is clear to them, that the teachers के लिए भी very easy हो जाएगा कि what the students can do after this thing. If your students come to a teacher के सर इसको पढ़ के क्या होगा in after future, मैं इसको पढ़ के क्या करूँगी, then that would be very clear to the teacher के after completion of this course this thing you can do, and so that it can make the students a very active learner, and that should be attractive so that the students can achieve it. Because अगर हम इस तरीके के learning outcomes बना दिए कि that would be not achievable, then that is not that much worthy. Because बना तो दिए, but if it is not achievable, then that is no meaning of that planning or developing that curriculum. Another quality should be, it should be comprehensible. That students should know, or students can know what it means sometimes students are reading that thing, these are the learning outcomes, but it is not comprehensible for them. They are not able to understand the concept. So students show know what it means, and it is appropriate, that means to the students current goals and career plans. It should be that much appropriate so that the students current goals and career plans can be made by themselves. And always the learning outcome should be attainable. Most students will mostly meet with due effort. That means after completion of that particular course, mostly all the students should meet that learning outcomes with their effects. And accessible, it should be accessible because we can see if it has been achieved. If it is not achieved, then we can do some modifications on, and it should be visible. That means it should be visible to the booklets and wherever the prospectus and all that, there should be proper learning outcomes. Now the proper learning outcomes should be developed, and if those we are focusing on that learning outcomes, and for achieving those outcomes or whatever the thing we are thinking, so first of all we also have to incorporate those outcomes, or incorporate those outcomes into the developing our curriculum. So when we are developing or we are framing our curriculum, the learning outcomes should also be mentioned in that framework. So learning outcomes based framework क्या है? it is a it is the envisioned to provide a focused outcome based syllabus at the undergraduate level with agenda to structure the teaching learning experiences in a more student centric manner. As I already mentioned, that in the previous era when the education system was only based on teacher centric, nowadays we are changed it in student centric or learner centric manner. So it is envisioned to provide a focused outcome based syllabus that the undergraduate level agenda to structure teaching learning experiences, what the experiences will achieved by the students after completion of that course. And it is an initiative to make teaching learning framework more better and enhance the student learning outcomes. mostly in teaching, in learning outcomes based curriculum में we are focusing on learn on learners outcome, and UGC has taken a thoughtful step by introducing LOCF. So first, the in LOCF, first what we do, we decide what are the outcomes, and this is a decision on what kind of careers you are preparing your graduates for. Because when we are giving any particular program like BSc Computer Science or BSc Mathematics or BA Education or BA History, so whatever the program we are running, or we are taking admission in that particular students, so for what kind of careers के लिए आप उस स्टूडेंट्स को प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो, that kind of decisions you have to take before or while developing the curriculum framework. So students learning outcomes would be defined in terms of their employability, their values, their graduate attributes, their understanding, their skills, and their knowledge. Basically, though the learning outcomes would be defined in terms of these aspects, and whatever the learning outcomes we are developing, that should be in these terms. Because if we focus in these terms, then only it will be very easy for developing these learning outcomes, and then that the actual aim of learning outcomes will be achieved. So while developing uh, the learning outcomes, we have to keep in our mind these key concepts, and then only we can develop good learning outcomes. So learning outcomes are not like that it is a framework or intended to promote design of a national common syllabus for a program or a study of learning content of courses within each program of the study, or to precise a set of approaches, teaching learning processes, and assessment of teaching learning levels. Instead, they are intended to allow for flexibility and innovations in program designs and syllabus development. Because when there is learning outcome based curriculum, there that is not a fixed, or that is not if I have developed this framework and you have to stuck on that, but there is some flexibility in program design, because there is a standard framework we can say, or there is a standard model, but according to the uh, to your need, or according to the um, your need, you can change it, or you can some additions, or you can something sometimes you can modify it. So program design and syllabus development in higher education institutions, then teaching learning processes, assessment of teaching learning levels, and periodic programs review within a broad framework of agreed expected graduate attributes, qualification descriptors, program learning outcomes, and course learning outcomes. So in this way, we can say that learning outcomes based curriculum is a uh, standard model we can say, and but we can change it, and we can modify it little bit if it is needed. And by and for modifying it, or whatever we are doing addition or changes, so we have to review it with the time expected, and we have to uh, see wherever the changes, either maybe it's graduate attributes or qualification descriptors or program learning outcomes or course learning outcomes. So wherever uh, these things are needed, we can change this, or we can do our as are needed. Then what are the objectives of this learning objective based curriculum framework? So, first objective is to help formulate graduate attribute, qualification descriptors, program learning outcomes, and course learning outcomes that are expected to be demonstrated by holder of qualification. That means the person who is taking that qualification, it will help him or her to formulate their graduate attributes or qualification restricted program learning and all that. Another objective is to enable prospective students, parents, employers, and others understand the nature and the level of learning outcomes like knowledge, skills, attribute, and values, or the attributes of graduates of the program should be capable of demonstrating on successful completion of the program study. So the students will also be known, or they will also understand what uh, they have to do, or what they will do, what skills they are going to uh, learn after completion of this program of its study. And another objective is to maintain national standards and international comparability of learning outcomes and academic standards to ensure global competitiveness and facilitate student graduate mobility. That means, as we already discussed, the competitiveness of global competitiveness. So, another objective of LOCF is to develop that kind of national standard or maintain the standards which can help them for the global competitiveness within the students. Another objective is to provide higher education institutions and important points of reference for deciding teaching learning strategies, because when we are developing this curriculum, or we are uh, thinking of enhancing quality education, or we are and thinking for enhancing skill based students or skillful students, there is also playing role of teaching learning strategies, adopting proper teaching learning strategies, assessing students learning levels, and periodic review of programs and academic standards are also very important. So these are the objectives of LOCF. सो मैं थोड़ा सा इंटरप्ट करूंगी यहाँ पर. सो इज इट अंडरस्टूड टिल नाउ, और यू आर हैविंग एनी क्वेरीज?
Ma'am, it was clear.
Clear. Okay, so my slides are visible now, because continuously I am saying, and no responses are coming. So one way teaching ही हो रहा है, so that's why I asked. So till now I think it's clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after going through this objective, now why LOCF? Because इतना दिन तो नहीं था, अभी क्यों आया, या फिर why it's important. So in the previous time, when we see the previous educational system, it was basically teacher centric education system. In the teacher centric education system, teachers were decided what that students will learn, and they will not giving emphasis on students need. So but now the scenario is changed. So teacher centric एजुकेशन से हमें स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिक एजुकेशन में मोल्ड करने में हमको LOCF is helping. Next, in the past era, we can see the students were just getting education or taking education or appearing in the examination for obtaining decent scores. I will get this much scores, so मुझे इतना ज़्यादा मिल गया, and बाकी लोगों को चलो मुझसे कम मिला, and there was a competition in the scores. कि knowledge है कि नहीं हमको नहीं पता, but हमको score ज़्यादा लाना है. So education is for getting good scores. But now the thing is changed के scores नहीं, we have to develop the certain qualities like thinking skills for and certain qualities which will be helpful for their future and career perspective. And already I have said this, okay, we have to develop our as we have to develop such kind of students which they are having some thinking qualities for their future and career perspectives. So that's why LOCF is very much effective. Another thing is students passion for learning new skills, students for learning new skills and adopting an innovative mindset, and it's utmost important to incorporate in the learning outcome based curriculum framework. Because if you are not passionate towards learning, then uh, you will not be um, that much happy in learning or knowing the things. So passioning towards learning is also another um reason for coming this LOCF. Another is by using this LOCF, new skills can be very much enhanced within the individuals, because new skills are very important, because this thing we have observed in this COVID era, because how the teaching learning activity shifted from the traditional classroom method to the online teaching learning method or flipped classroom. So for this shifting in the teaching learning processes, we have to वहाँ पर बहुत सारे ऐसे टीचर्स हैं जिन्होंने कभी ऑनलाइन में टीचिंग करा नहीं था, जिन लोगों ने टेक्नोलॉजी का कभी यूज़ नहीं करा था, तो सीखना पड़ा. So LOCF is thinking on that thing, that way, that new skills will be enhanced, so that whatever the situations will come into their life, so that they can easily adopt that thing and they can overcome that barrier or the obstacles. Another thing is making education system student centric, because हम टीचर सेंट्रिक से अभी अगर स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिक में नहीं लाया जाए, तो हम कहीं ना कहीं स्टूडेंट्स हमारे पीछे रह जाएंगे, बिकॉज नाउ द नीड ऑफ द सोसाइटी इज चेंजिंग, द नीड ऑफ द स्टूडेंट इज चेंजिंग, and due to that LOCF is helping us for making this transaction or making this change from teacher centric education to student centric education. But why in the PG and UG course offers in institution? Because in the graduates will be in particular careers, because school life तक तो हमारा ठीक था, but after coming into the graduation level हमारे ऊपर एक कहीं ना कहीं हमारे माइंडसेट में आ जाता है कि नहीं, अब तो ग्रेजुएशन चल रहा है, अभी हमको करियर के लिए थोड़ा सा सोचना है. सो यूजी पीजी कोर्सेज में LOCF का बहुत बड़ा एक रोल है फॉर थिंकिंग इन दैट करियर पर्सपेक्टिव में. So curriculum should be accordance to their career. So where whoever is developing the curriculum in this UG or PG courses, so your करिकुलम फ्रेम वर्क उस हिसाब से करो, ताकि उसको इन फ्यूचर में करियर से रिलेटेड बेनिफिट हो जाए, ना कि किसी सिर्फ मार्क्स अच्छे से गेन करके या फिर स्किल डेवलप नहीं करके हम ग्रेजुएट तो हो गया, बट वी आर नॉट हैविंग एनी काइंड ऑफ पर्टिकुलर स्किल, और वी डोंट हैव एनी काइंड ऑफ vision for our curriculum. So sorry, vision for the career or the future. So curriculum should be accordance with that career, whatever the program you are doing, चाहे आप BSc करो, BA करो, BCom करो, whatever the program you are getting enrolled in the graduation or PG courses, so that should be focused on your curriculum, and LOCF is focusing on that, uh, how that curriculum can be framed in a career basis. So learning cycle of this आउटकम बेस्ड करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क किस तरीके से होगा कि इस by for developing this learning cycle or learning outcome based curriculum, there should be your planning. Proper planning is also very important, because and this that's why before developing the curriculum or before developing the framework of the program or the course or the program, you should do proper planning. And this, if this proper planning phase is not done properly, then in the way somewhere you are going to execute that plan, somewhere you will come into a problem, or you can face some problems, because if planning is not done properly, then execution may problem aega, and you we will not attain the objective. So there is three phases of this learning outcome based curriculum framework. You have to plan, you have to execute, and you have to attainment of the phase. So three phases में हमारे learning cycle चलेगा इसका. And LOCF का what they will do, they will provide general guidance for articulating the essential learning as assisted with the programs of study and course with the program. They will provide, always it is focusing on general guidance for articulating the essential learnings associated with the program, what they are um, going to do with this program. And it may be noted that the LOCF is not intended to promote designing of a syllabus for the national common syllabus for a program of the study, or learning contents of the courses within each program of study, or to prescribe a set of approaches to teaching learning processes and assessment of the learning. So what are the key outcomes underpinning the curriculum planning and development? So there are graduate attributes, qualification descriptors, then there is program learning outcomes, and there is course learning outcomes. So we will discuss these things one by one. So first of all, we have to understand what is graduate attributes. So graduate attributes, what are these? These are the reflects the particular quality and features of a characters or the characters of an individual, including the knowledge, skill, attitude, and values that are expected by acquiring by graduates through studies at the higher education institutions such as colleges or university. So that is uh, wherever you are studying, maybe in a college or university. So particularly what kind of qualities or features will be inculcated by doing this graduate courses of any higher education institutions, maybe it graduate attributes includes capabilities that help strengthen one's ability for widening current knowledge, because graduates, that means they are in the higher education, they are not in the school education. So widely current knowledge based and skill, gaining new knowledge and skill, undertaking future studies, performing well in a chosen career, and playing constructive role as a responsive citizen of the society. So graduate attributes always emphasis or include developing the capabilities of being a good citizen, being a good society, and developing or inculcating new knowledges on and performing well in the chosen career, or playing a constructive role for developing a good human being. And another thing, what it defines the characteristics of students university degree program. That means अगर आप कोई भी डिग्री प्रोग्राम कर रहे हो, वो आपके डिग्री प्रोग्राम को define करेगा कि what you have done, and describe a set of competencies. That means after completion of the program, certain competencies definitely will be developed, and that competencies will be transferable beyond study of a particular subject and program context in which they have been developed, and fosters through mankind making full learning experiences made available through the curriculum and total college universities, and experience and process of critical and reflective thinking. So these are the graduate attributes. And if we are in the field of education, so LOCF in undergraduate education field may, we know that every student in is unique, because every students have their unique thinking skill, unique learning skill, unique characteristics, unique behavior. So every students in for ourselves, they are unique for us, and every students or graduate is having their own characteristics in terms of providing learning levels, experiences, life experiences, learning styles, approaches to future and career related actions. So that's why we can say that every student is a unique students, and as they are having unique qualities within themselves. And graduate attributes reflects both disciplinary knowledge and understanding generic skills, including global competitiveness. All students in different academic fields of study should acquire or attain and demonstrate. Some characteristic attributes that a graduate should be demonstrate is they should have disciplinary knowledge, they should have good communication skills. Disciplinary knowledge, that means अगर आप कोई भी field में हो, if we are in the education field and we are preparing the students, or the we are preparing the students for being a teacher, we are teaching the future teacher. So disciplinary knowledge should be there so that they can transfer their knowledge in a good way, or if we don't have knowledge, then how we will transfer that. So this their हेलो, और थोड़ा सा है, कितना टाइम में आपको खत्म करना है बताइए। हाँ, ओके, तो मुझे जल्दी खत्म करना है। ओके, okay, so these are the characteristics. You should have disciplinary knowledge, communicative skills, critical thinking, problem solving, analytical reasoning, some research related skills, and cooperative team skills. And some other characteristics should be within the undergraduate students, that is scientific reasoning, reflective thinking, self-directed learning, multicultural competencies, moral and ethical awareness, leadership qualities, etc. So as I have to run and finish it a little bit early, so I'm going very fast. So next is the qualification description. The second part is qualification descriptors. What it indicates, the generic outcomes and attributes expecting for the award of a particular type of qualification for like bachelor degrees and bachelor degrees with honors, whatever they may be. And qualifications descriptor for bachelor degree program. I'm skipping this because it's not that much. It will take time. Okay. Now the next part of LOCF is learning outcomes. Program learning outcomes are the outcomes that attribute described in qualification descriptors are attained by students through learning acquired on completion of the program of the study. That means the program refer to entire scheme of the study followed by the learner after leading the qualification. So it is whatever the program may be, it may be a BA program or BSc program, or nowadays NEP also has given opportunities for multiple exit and entries. So, and on the basis of learning outcomes, we can get specific certificate, diploma, or degrees. And this learning outcomes includes subject specific, general skills, transferable global skills, and all that. The last part of LOCF is course learning outcomes. Course learning outcomes are attained by the learners through essential learning acquired on completion of selected courses by of study within the program. That means if you are in a particular course that is used to mean an individual course of the study, makeup of the scheme of study of the program. And course learning outcomes are specific to the learning for a given course of the study related to whatever the disciplinary or interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary area. And some teaching learning methods we have to modify, adopt. So that are the practical based, team based internship, and field visits, etc. And we have to focus on the assessment methods as well. So in the assessment method, we have to focus on formative assessment, and so that every aspect of the students can be measured properly. And we have to develop some values so that we can develop good human being for our nation, because higher education, we are developing the good human being for the nations. And we are skipping this. And in the last and the conclusion, all the universities in the 21st century is actually helping us for developing this kind of good human being in a broader aspect, and to create the students for developing good talented students, aspirants, and professional requirements. So in this way, LOCF is helping us for developing good students who will be career oriented, skill based, and so that we can give good students for the nation. So this is all about written in this concluding part, and thank you. So this is all about my presentations. So if you are having any questions or queries, you can ask to me.
हार्टली थैंक यू मैम। आज का जो लेक्चर था मैम बहुत इंफॉर्मेटिव था हमारे लिए। उसको अप्लाई करके हम अपने आप को अपडेट कर सकते हैं और अपने स्किल को और इन्हांस कर सकते हैं। थैंक यू वेरी मच मैम। और मैं साथ ही साथ यहाँ के पार्टिसिपेंट्स को भी धन्यवाद कहूँगी क्योंकि उन्होंने बहुत हमको वैल्यूबल कंट्रीब्यूशन दिया। थैंक यू मैम। इसके बाद मैं बोर्ड ऑफ दीपक सर को इनवाइट करती हूँ।
थैंक यू श्वेता मैम। सभी विद्वजनों को मेरा नमस्कार। श्री साईं बाबा आदर्श महाविद्यालय अंबिकापुर सरगुजा छत्तीसगढ़ के डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एजुकेशन एंड डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ सीएस एंड आईटी द्वारा आयोजित 1 वीक फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम के अंतिम दिन के ऑनलाइन सेशन में रिसोर्स पर्सन के रूप में किडरपोर कॉलेज कलकत्ता वेस्ट बंगाल से जुड़ी हुई रिस्पेक्टेड डॉक्टर उज्ज्वला सिंह मैम के प्रति मैं दीपक तिवारी सहायक प्राध्यापक गणित महाविद्यालय परिवार की ओर से सहृदय आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि आपने लर्निंग आउटकम बेस्ड करिकुलर फ्रेमवर्क को इतने सरल सहज तरीके से विस्तार पूर्वक बताया। साथ ही क्वालिटी बेस्ड एजुकेशन और बेस्ट ह्यूमन काइंड के लिए मोटिवेट किया। महाविद्यालय परिवार में आपका बहुत बहुत आभार रहेगा। साथ ही मैं महाविद्यालय के प्राचार्य डॉक्टर राजेश श्रीवास्तव सर के मार्गदर्शन के प्रति भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। इसके अलावा IQAC कोऑर्डिनेटर रिस्पेक्टेड डॉक्टर शर्मा सर के प्रति उनके निर्देशन के लिए साधुवाद व्यक्त करता हूं। लिस्ट बट नॉट लास्ट, मैं सभी ऑडियंस के प्रति भी उनके धैर्यपूर्वक सुनने के लिए आभारी हूं और FDP के ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमेटी के प्रति भी मेरा आभार है कि उन्होंने सीखने सिखाने का इतना अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म हमें प्रदान किया। एक बार पुनः उज्ज्वला मैम को बहुत बहुत थैंक यू और सभी को पुनः कोटि कोटि धन्यवाद, आभार।
थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू दीपक सर। इसके बाद मैं आज का सेशन यहीं पे एंड करती हूँ। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू। you.